Hi, this is UFO Mike Cody. I'm going to be talking about the larger consciousness system, Dr. Thomas Campbell's work. For those of you who are not familiar with it, you shouldn't watch this because you're not going to understand anything I'm saying. So everyone knows the larger consciousness system is our source of consciousness. Larger consciousness system is inside of a simulation. It governs the laws of physics, the rules, the regulations on a macro, micro level, and our consciousness is a part of the larger consciousness system. The larger consciousness system has multiple universes, multiple physical matter, PMR, physical matter realities. The larger consciousness system wanted to evolve more rapidly, so it broke part of its larger consciousness system. It broke little pieces off and created us, humanoids. We're called IUOCs, individual units of consciousness. So, what does all that mean? Well, that means we live in a simulation based on the double slit experiment. You can do your own homework, you'll figure that out. So let's just talk briefly about what the hell does that, all this stuff that Tom Campbell mentions, what does it have to do with UFO phenomenon? Because Tom Campbell doesn't really think that the UFO phenomenon is really something that's important to tie yourself to talk about or delve into. And the reason why is because he doesn't think it's beneficial for your growth. Well, you're wrong, Dr. Thomas Warren Campbell. I think it's important, and I'm going to delve into it. Another thing I'm going to dive into is Dr. Thomas Warren Campbell does not think that other is important to talk about. You know who other is? Other are the entities that made the simulation, the people outside of the simulation, the creators, something bigger than the LCS. No, Warren Campbell doesn't want to go there. Thomas Warren Campbell doesn't want to go there. I'm going to go there. I'm going to get real deep with that and go down a rabbit hole, and I'm going to talk about stuff that Thomas Campbell's going to be like, oh man, this guy's crazy. That's right, Warren, don't forget it. Other built the LCS. Other is greater than the larger consciousness system. You're a part of the larger consciousness system. I'm a part of the larger consciousness system. Okay? We're a part of it. That's what Tom Campbell says. Again, you don't know his work? Get off this channel. Okay. Aliens. Crop circles. There's a difference in crop circles. You got little shit crop circles that have triangles and squares and letters and numbers. Those are made by people, okay? Then you got the other ones where a farmer's up at night at midnight, looking around his farm, making sure everybody's okay, about to go to bed, wake up at 4 in the morning, start the day all over again, and he's got a huge, 1,000 hectares of land. Next morning he wakes up at 4 and all of a sudden he's got a gigantic crop circle there with all these algorithms and mathematical geometric shapes and patterns, and he's like, what the hell? I didn't see this. That must have been done in less than 4 hours. This is crazy. Obviously something greater is going on. What Tom Campbell will tell you is, hey, something physical did not necessarily make that crop circle. A lot of this phenomenon living in a simulation can be non-physical. I agree with that. Now we're going to talk about aliens. We have two different types of abductions. Some of them can be benevolent, some of them are not so good. Most of the time, it's not an abduction. If you have a UFO experience like me, it's benevolent, it's nice, it's inspiring, it changes your life, it makes you broaden your perspective of your reality, and you just kind of are wearing different types of glasses now when you look at the world. Things just change. And that's done from the larger consciousness system because the larger consciousness system wants to evolve. So when it broke off little pieces of consciousness and let other PMR entities from another simulated universe, when they died, they were allowed to log on and play the game called Earth. I'm sure some of them have a regret of that, but nonetheless, here they are like me and you and everybody else. So you live in a simulation, okay? And the larger consciousness system wants to reduce entropy. It wants to lower it. Increase of entropy means chaos, confusion, non-cooperation, and lowering entropy means more harmonious, okay? So when you have a UFO encounter, for me and a lot of other people, the experience is positive. But what about the ones that are negative? Well, I'm going to talk about that. The ones that are negative are abductions, where the UFOs come in here, they abduct somebody against their own will. They do experiments like sexual experiments. very perverted entities, these other entities that are outside the simulation. Those are the ones that are coming in. They're coming in here, and it's like a zoo. It's like an animal farm. It's like, oh, we got all these virtual humanoids. Let's see who we want to go ahead and experiment on. Let's take this guy. Let's take that guy. Let's mix this guy's sperm with that lady's eggs. Whatever. Have space babies. Who cares? They do whatever they want. Okay? Why? Because they can. All right? So when you're seeing some of these negative alien abductions, I don't think it has anything to do with the larger consciousness system. It has to do with the entities that built the larger consciousness system. Dr. Thomas Campbell likes to stop at the LCS because it's a very comfortable, fuzzy thing. Like, yeah, we're just all a part of the larger consciousness system. It's just a great place to be. Well, somebody built it. Other built it. And we're going to dive into other. Other are aliens. These are entities that are greater than us. Their universe is greater than us. We are just a subset. We're probably just one in trillions of simulations they have. Seriously. So, what does other do? They get bored. They come in here, and what do? All the rules of Mother Nature, the physics on the macro and micro level, it turns it off. And it says, doesn't apply to other because we're from outside the simulation. Ha ha ha. Let's go around the zoo and the farm animals and pull some humanoid people out of this and do some experiments. LCS doesn't like that. LCS says, hey, I'm the larger consciousness system. I'm the one who decided to break up myself and create IUOCs, and these are my people, man. Can't just come in here. Other doesn't care because other's more powerful than the LCS. Yes, the LCS can be your God. Yes, it can be your computer. Yes, it can be your Elvis Presley and Jesus Christ combined, whatever you want it to be. But at the end of the day, the LCS is part of the projection, okay? Other who made the simulation, these aliens outside of this simulation, okay? They are the projector. We are the image of the projector. So they will always be superior. So what happens? LCS likes to have control over its people. I mean, look at the human race. We can't get off this fucking planet. We never went to the moon. So we're all stuck on this two-dimensional plane called gravity, right? The LCS is very, very interested in its own IUOCs because it improves the larger consciousness system. It's this two-way street where you've got the God and the smaller entities working together for an ultimate goal of lowering entropy. That's why it made IUOCs, the larger consciousness system. But the larger consciousness system, even though it has godlike qualities, can be trumped by other, which are the other aliens outside the simulation that created it. And if they want to come in here with their tablet, or whatever they have, holographic tablet, and say, here's the larger consciousness system. Let's just go ahead and delete the physics. Let's delete the rules of Mother Nature. Let's make ourselves invisible. We're going to go faster than the speed of light. We're going to be able to be invisible. We can go through houses. They can do that because they're from the outside. And there's nothing the larger consciousness system can do. All the larger consciousness system can do is hope that one of its IUOCs sees a UFO all of a sudden in that garden in France, Nice summer day, 1963, ladies out there about to pull some carrots and tomatoes off the trees in the ground, and then next you know, she sees a UFO and like, what the hell is this, right? Okay? Because that entity saw that automatically means that larger consciousness system saw it. Whatever you think of, whatever you dream of, whatever you do or don't do, it knows. The larger consciousness system is a gigantic database of past events, present events, and future probabilistic events. So what does the larger consciousness system do in that case? Well, something happened that wasn't part of the LCS's control. When I say control, it wasn't part of its rules that it's confined to. Something violated its own physics. LCS wants to know what that is. So they send the men in black out there, which is like a little antivirus. They walk up to the lady, that little old lady in France, and ask, hey, what's going on? Did you see anything? But here's the problem. Little old lady from France didn't tell anybody. So how could they know? That'd really bake your noodle, huh? That's some Matrix shit there. Well, they did know. Why? Because once you saw that, the larger consciousness system saw it. That's why people have this confusion with the men in black. Like, what are they? How did they know I saw something? I didn't tell anybody. I didn't even tell Uncle Freddie down the street that. This is crazy. Larger consciousness system knew because you saw it. So what it does is the larger consciousness system just validates the information, even though it's a little creepy. They create non-player characters to extort some more information from them and just to check it off and let them know, hey, we documented. It also lets other know, the entities that built this whole simulation, that the larger consciousness system knows what's going on and we're documenting that. Now, they have thousands of men in black cases throughout the whole world where people got creeped out and it's like, hey, I got these two guys dressed in black. They're in front of my house. I got a one-way road. I live on a farm. Send everybody down here. These guys are crazy. Police head down there. The men in black leave on the road. They never see them. So how can they just disappear? Every time the police try to find out who these real men in black are, they're not there. That's because that came from the larger consciousness system. That's a non-player character. That's what the men in black is. I've explained it. Thank you, Dr. Thomas Campbell. Really, it's a good possibility I'm right. Now, what about the friendly encounters like when Roswell crashed? Don't listen to Greer. Dr. Stephen Greer's like, we shot him down with a scalar weapon, everybody, with a scalar weapon. If they can fly, when I say they, whatever alien UFO creation, whether it came from the larger consciousness system or from other, any type of UFO alien entity that has interstellar travel from one galaxy to the other is not going to be fazed nor afraid of an electromagnetic weapon. If you can distort gravity or create your own gravity field and just fly interstellarly beyond the speed of light, avoiding little micrometeors that will explode so hard against your UFO craft that it would destroy the entire universe inside of a universe, they're not going to be worried about electromagnetic scalar weapon. So don't believe that nonsense. Okay? Total nonsense. The UFO crashed on purpose. Who created that UFO? The larger consciousness system created it. How do you know that? Because it crashed on purpose. You're not going to shoot something down like that. That's like, how do I give an analogy here? If we shot down an interstellar UFO in 1947 in New Mexico, that would be like a caveman throwing a fucking rock at an F-35. That would be even worse. A monkey throwing a banana peel as an F-22 flies by. Yeah, sure, that's going to happen. So it crashes, and then we got all this technologies. Fiber optic cables, Kevlar, bulletproof resistant material, lasers, plasma material, blah, 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 whatever. The LCS could be motivated to do something like that to help us evolve a little bit if we're stuck in a rut. So it drops off some technology. Even look at the aliens. The aliens that were in that crash, they consider them to be clones. Isn't that interesting? Why would they be clones? Because there's no reproduction organ, there's no lungs, there's not even a physical brain. It was a bunch of quasi-crystal silicone chips in there or something. They didn't have an esophagus. They couldn't find rib cages. They couldn't find a small and large intestine. They couldn't find a liver. They couldn't find a gallbladder. What does that mean? The DNA from those crashed UFO aliens in Roswell was probably 1% complexity to a human DNA. Our DNA is so complex for human beings here in this virtual simulation. The DNA strand you can wrap around the moon and Earth 500,000 times before you decode it. Something like that is not even probably a half a mile long. It's just a structure. It's just a piece of data of a body form that looked alien, created by a larger consciousness system that it used momentarily to take this UFO and pretend that it crashed. That's exactly what happened. Doesn't make any sense. How do these people live if they can't even eat something? There's no esophagus. What are these people, walking plants? Come on. So, yeah, that's most likely what happened in a simulation theory. The larger consciousness system cannot stop other. Cannot do it. And whether Tom Campbell agrees with it or not, he probably doesn't. Tom Campbell's probably going to throw up after he sees this video. He's going to probably be like, man, this guy Cody's killing me. I've never been mad before. Ah! Sorry, Campbell. I love you. I'm your #1 fan, actually. So, the LCS wants to have some control. I'm not saying it has to have control, all its IUOCs. It did have control over that when Jesus was around. That's why people heard voices. Because the LCS would talk to him and be like, hey, Michael, I wouldn't eat that extra chocolate chip cookie, Michael Cody. You're already 215 pounds. Okay, God, I'll put it back. Well, I saw you eat the donut this morning, Mike. That's the LCS. Now it evolved. The LCS doesn't really talk to you anymore unless it'll give you nudges, but not like it did back in the biblical days. Way off track. Other created the larger consciousness system. Do you remember Dwight Eisenhower? Dr. Greer talks about how, yeah, the aliens came down and met with them. Well, I don't know about that. I think if the aliens came down and met with it, it was the larger consciousness system doing it, if it even happened in the first place. It came down to do it as a way to pretend like, oh, we're real. We're really from Zeta Reticuli. Let's have this discussion. It would never come from the real other aliens. It would never come from the entities outside of the simulation. And let me tell you why it wouldn't happen that way, okay? It wouldn't happen that way because, once again, like I said earlier, when you've got billions and trillions of simulations, do you really think that they're going to sit there, these entities that created all these PMR realities that we live in, you think it's going to sit there and worry like, gee, you know, even though we created all these simulations, we created the larger consciousness system, you know, we're going to have to talk to President Dwight Eisenhower from the United States. Okay? I know we got trillions of these simulations out there, but this is big deal. Okay? Us aliens that created this place, we need to talk to him because he's very powerful. And we're getting worried here, and we need those humans, and we're going to have to get permission because the Americans have planes, and they've got fighter jets, and they can go faster than the speed of sound now. And who are we? We're just aliens that created the simulation. We can turn off all the stuff that they're doing, and we can actually manipulate the larger consciousness system to make that president do jumping jacks and eat bananas all day. But anyways, we're really nervous right now. We're going to have to meet with Dwight Eisenhower, and we got to work this out because out of all the trillions of simulations, Dwight Eisenhower is the most important one, period. Yeah, we need to figure this out. Let's get everybody together here outside the simulation, aliens, and let's put our 5,000 IQs together and figure this out because that guy right there in the United States of America is really scary. Yeah, right. Yeah. You know what they're going to do? If the aliens that created this simulation, which is greater than our God, the LCS, if they want to manipulate something, you know what they're going to do? Larger consciousness system, I need Michael Cody to do this. Thank you, larger consciousness system. Have a great day. They're not going to go to me individually unless they want to have fun. Let the LCS to do it. That's what we're a part of. It's that larger system. Other created it. They're going to come down here and fly. Oh, we got to meet Dwight Eisenhower. That's even, remember I told you the ant and the anthill? That makes more sense than what I just said. It would make more sense if I got caught talking to a fucking ant. Like, are you the king? How old are you? Yeah, where have you vacationed? Than for them to pick one simulation out of trillions and be worried because we have jet fighters. Stupid. These people that want to have war with the aliens from the outside, you want to have a war with other? That's illogical. It's like fighting Super Mario Brother and Luigi, fighting Clash of Clans. It's like saying, hey, I'm going to beat up that guy in the Sims reality game that I'm playing because he's dating Molly and I didn't want that to happen. It's illogical. It's not going to work. It can't happen. It's not the right question. It doesn't even make sense. So if there was any alien visitation, it was because of other telling the larger consciousness system to do that, just as for fun or whatever. Because if other wants to take beings and study them, they don't need our approval. Please understand that. They do not need shit from us. We're just one of billions of simulations. They'll do what they want, okay? They don't need that approval. But they could have done it more tactfully. Maybe they're a little bit nicer and said, hey, you know what? Like I just said, all right, LCS, let's... I want you to create some stupid UFO-looking things and have this fake meeting. We're going to steal the humans anyways, but it'll make them feel a little bit better about themselves. Maybe they did that. I even doubt it. It might have just been the larger consciousness system talking to them saying, hey, look it, you know, I have a lot of IUOCs. The LCS does. This is our God we're connected to. They're stealing the IUOCs. So if you're being stolen from this reality and abducted from other, then the larger consciousness system knows about that. Because it's taking a piece of the larger consciousness system but it can't stop them from doing it. So the LCS is not abducting these people. It's people outside of the simulation, the creators of it. So what might have happened is the larger consciousness system probably created these own entities in itself and had a meeting just to let the humans know that were in power what was going on. When really the truth is, the LCS would never do that to itself, because a larger consciousness system wants to evolve and wants us to be happy and wants us to have love, carrying capacity, and low entropy. Doesn't want the conflict. So when these people were being moved out and taken out, every time somebody experienced that, remember, the larger consciousness system knows everything you're thinking and everything you're doing. So if somebody did get abducted from out of this virtual reality, the LCS is automatically going to know about that. So perhaps it created its own separate UFO or alien type entities just to communicate with Dwight Eisenhower about what was going on, when really the LCS is powerless over that too. It's going to happen either way. But aliens that are outside the simulation meeting with Eisenhower, that's fucking ridiculous. It's not going to happen. And on that note, I don't think I have anything else to talk about. I think I've ranted and raved about this for 20 minutes. I feel really good. Thomas Campbell, I have no fear. That's why I did this video. I owe that to you. Have a great day.